July 15, 2020, Hangzhou, China. A 55-year-old man sits in front of television cameras and begs the country to find his missing wife. His name, Guoli. He speaks slowly. He answers every question. He even offers a reward, 100,000 yuan, to anyone who can bring her home. Millions of people watched that broadcast. And somewhere in that audience, detectives were watching too, because by then, they had begun to suspect something that sounded impossible. The woman everyone was looking for had never left the building. But to understand that moment, we have to go back 11 days. July 4, 2020, a residential compound called Sanbao Beiyuan in Hangzhou, a city of more than 10 million people. Lai Huili was 53 years old, a mother, a wife in her second marriage. Neighbors knew her as an ordinary woman with an ordinary routine. That evening, security cameras recorded her walking back into the compound, the way she had done 1,000 times before. She rode the elevator up to her apartment, the door closed behind her, and as far as the world knew, she was never seen again. The next day, her husband made a phone call. He told police his wife had vanished in the middle of the night. His story was simple. They had gone to sleep in the same apartment, he said. Their young daughter was sleeping in the next room. When he woke up, the bed beside him was empty. No note. No missing clothes. Her phone left behind. Her ID left behind. A 53-year-old woman, he said, had simply dissolved into the night, barefoot, silent, and invisible. Think about that for a second. To leave the apartment, she would have to open the door, walk down the corridor, take the elevator or the stairs, cross the compound, pass the gate. Every single one of those steps sits under a camera. And yet, the family reported her gone. The case hit Chinese social media like a storm. People called her the woman who evaporated. Ghost stories spread. Some claimed she had run away with a lover. Others whispered about kidnapping. The mystery had everything except a single frame of footage of her leaving. And at the center of it stood the husband. This is the part you need to watch closely, because what Guoli did next is the reason this case is remembered. He didn't hide from the cameras. He walked toward them. On July 15, and again on July 17, he appeared on a popular Zhejiang television program called Shaochang Hotline. He sat down. He told the story of the night she disappeared. He calmly analyzed the possibilities, like a man doing a puzzle. He raised the reward. Viewers would later replay those clips again and again, searching his face. Because in all those minutes of television, the grieving husband never seemed to grieve. Remember that broadcast. It matters later. While the country debated ghosts and runaways, the police did something much less dramatic. They started watching video. Not hours of it. Thousands of hours. Investigators pulled footage from every camera in and around the compound, more than 6,000 hours in total. They watched the gate, the garage, every stairwell, and every elevator, frame by frame. They logged every person who entered and left the compound over those days, every delivery driver, every grandmother taking out the trash, every child on a scooter. And when they finished, they were certain of one thing. Lai Huili walked into that building on the evening of July 4, and she never walked out. Not through the gate, not through the garage, not on foot, not in a car, not in anything the cameras could see. There is a cold logic to what detectives concluded next. If a person enters a building and never leaves it, then whatever happened to her happened inside. The search area collapsed from a city of 10 million people down to a single address, her own home. Now the investigation turned inward and it became quiet and forensic. Officers examined the apartment. Nothing, no blood, no signs of struggle. The husband's story held together on the surface, but investigators kept pulling on small threads. They examined everything about the building's daily rhythms in those early July days, down to details as small as water usage. And somewhere in that mountain of boring data, something didn't sit right. In the hours after Lai Huili was last seen alive, the apartment had used far more water than a sleeping household should. Water. Think about what you can do with water. At 3 in the morning, you can wash something, you can rinse something, you can flush something, again, and again, and again. On July 22nd, the police made a decision that stunned the compound's residents. They sealed off the area and brought in pump trucks. Their target was the septic tank, the underground chamber that collects everything flush from the building's pipes. What followed was one of the most extraordinary forensic operations in modern Chinese policing. For roughly 25 hours, workers pumped out the tank's contents. Truck after truck was filled and driven away. 38 truckloads in total. And then teams in protective suits began to search that waste by hand, bucket by bucket, sieve by sieve, looking for anything that did not belong. They found it. Fragments of human tissue scattered in the sludge. The lab ran DNA analysis and compared it against samples from the missing woman's family. On July 23rd, the Hangzhou police got their answer. The tissue belonged to Lai Huili. The woman the whole country was searching for had been inside the building's pipes the entire time. She had never left home, just like the cameras said. Within hours, police arrested the man who had sat on television begging for her return. Her husband, Guoli. On July 25, 2020, the Hangzhou police held a press conference that shut down every ghost story in an instant. Under interrogation, Xu had confessed, and the confession revealed that the disappearance was never a mystery at all. It was a performance, planned in advance, and executed in the dark. Here is what the investigation and the court would later establish. On the night of July 4, Guoli dissolved sleeping pills into his wife's drink. He waited for the drugs to pull her under. Then, while their daughter slept in the next room, he suffocated her. What he did afterward is the reason this case became infamous. Over the following hours, in the bathroom of their own apartment, he disposed of her, piece by piece, into the building's plumbing, washing everything away with water. Running water, hour after hour, in the middle of the night, the exact anomaly that would later betray him. By morning, the bathroom was clean, the apartment was normal, and Guoli picked up the phone and reported his wife missing. Setting off a 17-day national mystery he himself had authored. He gave interviews, he joined the speculation, he offered a reward for a woman he knew would never be found alive, in front of cameras, wearing the face of a worried husband. Why? The court's answer was depressingly small. Money. According to the verdict, Xu and Lai had long-running disputes over money and property, tangled up with the children of their previous marriages. The court found the murder was premeditated, not a moment of rage. A plan. He had prepared, killed, cleaned, and then performed, step by step. On July 26, 2021, the Hangzhou Intermediate People's Court sentenced Guoli to death for intentional homicide. He appealed. The sentence was upheld, and the Supreme People's Court reviewed and approved it. In March 2023, the sentence was carried out. From the night of the murder to the execution, the entire arc took less than 3 years. But the story didn't end with him. Chinese media reported that years later, apartments in that building stood empty because no one wanted to live above those pipes. The phrase Hangzhou missing wife became shorthand for a specific kind of fear. The fear that danger doesn't always break in through the window. Sometimes it's already inside. Sometimes it pours your drink. And that television broadcast took on a second life. People watched it again with new eyes, the calm voice, the careful analysis, the reward. Every answer he gave, they now knew, was spoken by the one person on Earth who knew exactly where she was. There's one more detail worth sitting with. The thing that broke this case was not a dramatic clue, not a witness, not a confession freely given. It was patience. 6,000 hours of footage, watched by tired officers who refused to skip a frame, a water meter, a septic tank that nobody wanted to open. The most disturbing crimes are sometimes solved by the most ordinary numbers. On July 15, 2020, a man sat in front of television cameras and begged the country to find his missing wife. 8 days later, they found her. She was exactly where he left her, and the search he demanded became the search that destroyed him. This was the red thread. The next thread is already loose.